It looks like the Red Sox search is finally over. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. It appears as though the Red Sox have a new head of baseball operations. Technically, the job title is Chief Baseball Operator, the exact same one Chaim Bloom had just a few weeks ago. Either way, there is a new sheriff in town for the Boston Red Sox, and things are about to heat up in a big way. So, what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break down the latest news surrounding the Boston Red Sox, who they hired to be the head of baseball operations, why this decision may have been made over everyone else, and we're going to talk about not only what this means for the Red Sox going forward, but specifically what this means for the Red Sox going into a very pivotal offseason. But before we get into that, just a heads up, we are going to be live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about outlooks on the rest of the offseason, anything else that could be attached to the Red Sox regarding the 2024 offseason. That is what we are talking about live and in person tonight on this channel at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. The new chief baseball operator for the Boston Red Sox is none other than a man by the name of Craig Breslow. Now, if you haven't already watched my video on Craig Breslow's background story, Breslow was actually a really successful major league pitcher. He spent 12 seasons in Major League Baseball, 5 of them in 2 separate stints with the Boston Red Sox, including most notably for Red Sox fans, his 2013 run where he had a 1.81 ERA in 61 appearances. But overall, throughout his career, the rest of it was successful as well. He finished with a 1.22 ERA plus in 12 years at the big league level and an ERA of just 3.45. So he's about 22% more productive on the mound in 12 years as a left-handed relief pitcher during that time span than the average pitcher in Major League Baseball. And there was a big reason for this. Craig Breslow credits a lot of his success on the mound to being an early adopter of analytics. Breslow was never the biggest player on the team. He was never the hardest thrower on the team. So he had to get really creative with the way he got guys out on the mound. And what he credits a lot of that to is adopting sabermetrics and stuff like along those lines that were in the early phases of his career, where he could really grasp and hold on to those and understand some of the more intricate parts of the game to allow himself to be a more creative pitcher on the mound. And it led to a really successful career. Craig Breslow was also an extremely smart human being. He went to Yale. He has 2 degrees from Yale, one in molecular biophysics and the other in biochemistry. During his time as a player, he was considered the smartest guy in baseball. One person even said he may be one of the smartest people in the world. It was all by a Twins beat reporter. But why does any of this matter when we're talking about Craig Breslow, the CBO, right? What does this mean for Craig? Well, I think it's hugely important to understand where he came from. And the reason for this is, one, I want you guys to understand who he is, but 2, it's going to help shed light as to what Craig Breslow could look like in that front office. 1, because Craig Breslow has been there, right? He played 12 years of Major League Baseball. He understands not only how to play the game, but he also understands how to survive in the game, which are 2 completely different things. 2, he understands what it takes to win in Boston, and he understands what it means to this city to win in Boston, right? He not only won a championship here, he lives here. This is a true hometown front office executive, which could play really well for the Boston Red Sox. And 3, you want the smartest guy in the room on your side. Almost always, right? There's never a situation where you want the second smartest or third smartest. You want the smartest guy in the room, and that is Craig Breslow. And I understand people say, oh, these nerds and analytics, they're ruining baseball, but the Red Sox have benefited tremendously from the so-called nerds that everyone talks about. Theo Epstein, when he was hired, was considered too nerdy for baseball, and now he's considered one of the best GMs of all time. I don't want to hear the nerd stuff with Craig Breslow. 1, because he played this game, right? He can't be that nerdy. And 2, because nerds help these teams win, and that's what we need in this front office. So it's important to understand Craig Breslow's background. Now, in terms of actual experience with a front office executive job, Craig Breslow has never technically served served as a CBO, a GM, or anything like that in a front office before, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have any experience. When Craig Breslow retired after his career, Theo Epstein actually recruited him personally to the Chicago Cubs, where Theo allowed Craig Breslow to see every single day-to-day operation the Cubs run and understand how it works before allowing him to select a specific area that he was going to focus on. In 2019, he was promoted to Director of Strategic Initiatives of Baseball, which essentially was Craig Breslow marrying analytics to baseball players throughout the organization and the infrastructure itself. After that, he was promoted to the job he is currently in today, which is an assistant GM, the senior vice president of pitching. Now, in this role that Craig Breslow had before he took this job with the Boston Red Sox, he was actually in charge of a pretty decent amount of stuff with the Cubs. One of his biggest tasks was evaluating pitching free agents and identifying guys that they were going to attack when it came to free agency. He also had to do the same thing with trades. He understands those two parts of the game, at least towards the pitching side of thing, which is a good sign. On top of that too, he also helped implement and improve the entire infrastructure of the Chicago Cubs pitching development as a whole within the organization, and it's seen really great strides under Craig Breslow. He was a big reason why the Chicago Cubs ended up with Marcus Stroman, who's been great for them. He's a big reason why the program around Justin Steele allowed Justin Steele to really become this sort of Cy Young potential candidate. He's also a big reason why the Chicago Cubs currently have the 29th highest ranked prospect in Major League Baseball, a pitcher by the name of Cade Orton. Again, 26th in all of baseball and 4th in all of Major League Baseball in pitching prospects, right? He helped turn the Chicago Cubs around pitching wise. On top of that too, in his role as assistant GM, he did help the Chicago Cubs in day-to-day operations. He was a part of other free agent signings and other trade opportunities outside of just pitching as well. So while Craig Breslow may not have direct experience as a legitimate number one in an organization, he does have the understanding of what it takes to do that job, and he's got the experience of handling day-to-day operation stuff that you're going to be facing once you're head of baseball operations for an organization. But what does this mean for Boston? Not only right now, but in the future as well. Yeah, I think this is a really good thing, honestly. I'm excited about a Craig Breslow era in Boston. There are a couple of fears, I think, with everyone when it comes to Craig Breslow, as excited as you could possibly be, and that is simple as ever, that Craig Breslow has not had the experience as a number one in an organization, right? We don't truly know what he's going to look like at the helm of this ship until he actually starts maneuvering its vessel, right? We're not really going to know what his philosophy is. We're not really going to know what he can and cannot do mentally with the front office gig until he actually does it. So that's the biggest concern right now surrounding Craig Breslow, is that we just don't know what he's going to look like. But the potential is there to be an extremely impressive front office executive. He's got the brains to do it. He's got the analytical mind to do it. But almost more importantly, in my opinion, he's got the understanding of what it is to be a Major League Baseball player to do it, right? I feel like sometimes there's a disconnect in Major League Baseball, and specifically with fans of Major League Baseball, between the analytics and then what the play on the field looks like, right? I feel like there's a feeling that analytics are a completely separate side of baseball than the actual baseball itself, but in reality, it's all interwoven, right? It's all sort of meshed together, and Craig Breslow, of all people, completely understands that and can utilize that better than a lot of guys. Again, he wouldn't have survived over a decade in Major League Baseball if it weren't for his ability to understand and utilize analytics to improve himself. And I think that's going to be a big thing for the Boston Red Sox, because what we've had over the last couple of GMs or CBOs, whatever you want to call them, is sort of the polar opposite to that, right? You've had that guy who didn't really care about analytics in Dave Dombrowski. Then you got that guy who cared too much about analytics in Chaim Bloom. It appears as though Craig Breslow has the opportunity to be a perfect marriage of both of them. And not only that, but on top of that too, he also has an already understanding with Alex Cora and other pieces within the organization, right? He was here for 2 different stints. One of them is Alex Cora's teammates. Now, obviously, it was for 1 year in 2006. I don't entirely expect them to be best buds, but that pre-existing relationship is there, and that understanding of 2 guys who did win important championships with the Boston Red Sox are now at the helm of the Boston Red Sox, right? That's now 2 guys who understand what it takes to win in Boston at the biggest stage, running your organization. To me, that's a really great sign. Then, of course, you just have the flat out knowledge of someone who is that smart between the ears with Craig Breslow. And again, this all looks like it could be a legitimate, perfect combination to be an excellent front office executive, and that should excite a lot of people. Again, yes, there are concerns, but right now we can't really sit here and say, oh, he can't do the job, or oh, he's going to do an excellent job, because we just flat out don't know right now, right? But I think the biggest thing that I'm excited about with Craig Breslow is the fact that he's hungry. He's hungry to prove himself and become more than just a net neutral when it comes to his experience, right? And more importantly, he's hungry to win in his hometown, right? Lives in Newton, lives in the area, but he also pitched for this team. He wants to bring a championship not only as the CBO and prove himself, but he also wants to bring a championship home, and he wants to bring it to his alma mater. That's a really great combination, in my opinion. I'm excited to see what Craig Breslow can do. Now, on top of that too, they also are allowing Craig Breslow to pick whether or not he wants a GM or not. I would strongly suggest he takes a GM or a number 2 or whatever you want to call it, and I would strongly suggest that person be Eddie Romero, but I have no say in this, and I think eventually, yes, there will be a second in command for Craig Breslow, but as of right now, the Red Sox are allowing him to choose that person. What this means for Eddie Romero, I'm not entirely sure. This is the second time he's been passed up on the job. Whether or not he gets promoted to GM could have a big reason as to whether or not he stays with the organization or if he looks for opportunities elsewhere. But I'm excited that the Red Sox are giving Craig a little bit of freedom when it comes to picking his number 2, right? There are a lot of things that Craig Breslow couldn't choose coming into this job. I'm glad they're giving him more freedom than initially anticipated with this new gig, because that's exactly what he needs. He needs the ability to do things on his own, and hopefully this is the start of exactly that. But this is all just my opinion, so let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? What do you think of the Red Sox newest hire as the chief baseball operator for this team? Do you like Craig? Do you not like Craig? Are you excited? And how do you think his first offseason is going to go? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Don't forget, we're going to be live tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.